Yeah, once again, welcome to class. In our last class, we did discuss about sequence, and we defined it already. But I want to also let you know that there are basically two types of sequence, and in addition to that, another name for sequence is progression. So sometimes you can hear me say sequence, you can hear me say progression, I'm just saying the same thing. So there are basically two types of sequence, and they include the arithmetic sequence and the geometric sequence. That is popularly known as the arithmetic progression and the geometric progression, the AP and the GP. So we have the basic type of sequence we have is what? Is the arithmetic sequence or progression, as the case may be. And the second one is what? The geometric progression. That's the popular AP and GP. These are the two types of progressions that we have. And there's a need for us to look at them closely, one after the other. For this class, I might be looking at arithmetic progression alone. If I'm able to add that fast enough, I'm going to go to the geometric progression. If not, I may have to talk about geometric progression in the next class. So for now, the question is, what is arithmetic sequence? So arithmetic sequence can be defined as a sequence or a progression that is characterized or defined by common difference. So what does that imply? It means that when you look upon this kind of sequence, the way you will know that it is an arithmetic sequence is that it will have common difference between a term and the following or the subsequent terms. There is a common difference that exists between them. Such a term as that is referred to as what? Arithmetic sequence, arithmetic progression. Although arithmetic sequence is otherwise known as linear sequence or linear progression, that's the other name that we call arithmetic sequence. So, like I told you, that a sequence is defined by a function. Do you understand? So it's also AP, any AP whatsoever, any arithmetic progression is defined by a particular function. So this function is called nth term. Do you understand? It's called nth term. So when you hear the nth term of an AP, it means the function that mimics or define AP. So an arithmetic progression, which I will call in brief AP, is defined by the nth term is defined by Tn equals a plus in brackets n minus 1 bracket d. This definition is very sacrosanct to arithmetic progression. So plus is here because I've seen students make quite a number of mistakes by eliminating this additional sign, which will define the equation. If you want to remove this plus, it's no more the nth term of an AP. So the formula is simply, or the definition, the nth term of an AP is what? Tn equals a plus in brackets n minus 1 then d. So where you have your Tn, where we have our Tn, is called the nth term. It's called the nth term. So that's what I'm saying, the nth term of an AP. Then when we have our A, it's called the first term. The very first term that occurs in a particular progression. Then when you have our n is the number of terms in progression. The number of terms you have in progression or in the sequence. The number of terms in the progression or the number of terms in the sequence. Then when we have our d, it's called common difference. Like I said, it is only in AP that you see what we call common difference. And difference simply means subtraction, as you know it. So now I will need to explain this common difference better for us to understand. Now imagine that these are the terms of the sequence. Definitely, imagine that I have my T1, then I have my T2, then I have my T3, then I have my T4, then I have my T5. It goes on, and then I have my Tn. But before I can have my Tn, or after my Tn, I can have my, or before my Tn, I can have Tn minus 1, then I have my Tn, then I have my Tn plus 1. It's not magic. You know, what you say, adding 1 plus 1 became 2, 2 plus 1 became 3, 3 plus 1 became 4, 4 plus 1 became 5. It goes on and on. N minus 1, n minus 1 plus 1 became n plus 1, n plus 1. Do you understand? So it's not just me trying to show you something. So how do I know that this guy is an AP? Is that we have common difference, meaning that my common difference T is T2 minus T1, which must also be equal to 2T3 minus T2, which must also be equal to T4 minus T3. It goes on and on to T5 minus T4. It continues on and on to Tn minus Tn minus 1 and to Tn plus 1 minus what? Tn. All of these guys are called, this is called the definition or the formula for common difference. Do you get what I'm saying? That means this minus this, 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 this minus this. When we are common differences equal, we call it an AP. Do you understand? So let me give you an instance. Look at, for example, you are asked to solve for the common, you are asked to solve for the, solve for the common difference. The common difference of the following progression. When you are asked to don't know if it is an AP or not. Number 1, you are given say 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, like that, and say number 2 are given say minus 3, minus 7, minus 11, minus 15, and so on. Say number 4 or number 3 or figure 3, say you have 100, 97, 94, 91, and it goes on. I asked for the common difference. It's not something that is difficult. Just follow the number formula. So let me just find the difference of these questions. See number 1, I have 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. My common difference is if I label this one T1, this is T2, this is T3, this is T4, and this is T5. This is simply become T2 minus T1, that is 5 minus 2, must be equals to 8 minus 3, must be equals to 11 minus 8, must be equals to 14 minus 11. That will give us what? 3. 5 minus 2 is 3. This will give us, pardon me, here is supposed to be 5. This will give us 3, this will give us 3, and this will give us 3. So our common difference is simply 3. So this is an AP. You don't ask me, how do I get an AP? It has common difference. See number 2, I'll leave it to number 3. I have minus 3, minus 7, minus 11, minus 15, and 1. So I'll leave it to T1, T2, T3, T4. So my common difference is simply minus 7, minus 3. Don't forget, there's a minus 3 here, which must be equals to minus 11, minus 7, which must be equals to minus 15, minus 11. And eventually will give me minus 7 plus 3 equals to minus 11 plus 7 equals minus 15 plus 11. So my common difference is now equals to minus 4, minus 4, minus 4. So my common difference is minus 4 eventually. So this is minus 4. How do I know these progressions are AP? Because it has common difference of minus 4. If, as I was solving, I have minus 3 here, then this is not an AP. It has to be consistent in the differences if I can call it an arithmetic progression. And that is clear enough. So I think I just wanted to brush up to complete my line of thought. So the question is, what does the terms of an AP look like when we consider it from the perspective of the nth term of an AP? But do not forget that the nth term of an AP is defined as what? Tn equals a plus in bracket n minus 1 bracket d. Now this is the sequence, and I'm now to write down the terms of this AP. What does it look like? Now let me say when my n is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to write out the first 5 terms like we did in the previous class. Meaning that when my what? When n is 1, is equals to a plus 1 minus 1 bracket d. You know whenever I see n, I put 1. So that's equals to a plus 1 minus 1 is 0 times d, and that's a plus 0 times this is 0, and that is a. Then t2, that means when n is what? When n is 2. So I have t2 equals a plus 2 minus 1 bracket d, and that is a plus 2 minus 1 is 1 times d, and that is a plus d. That's my t2. Then I go again and say my t3 equals a plus 3 minus 1 bracket d equals a plus 2 times d equals a plus 2d. This is my t3. So I will say again, when n equals to 4, and I have t4 equals a plus 4 minus 1 bracket d, and that is a plus 4 minus 1 is 3 times d, and that is a plus 3d. This is my t4. And when my n is 5, for that I have t5 equals a plus 5 minus 1 bracket d, then a plus 4d. And this my t5 is equals to what? A plus 4d. So if you have to write out my first 5 terms of an arithmetic progression, I will say t1 equals to a, t2 equals to a plus d, t3 equals to a plus 2d, t4 equals to a plus 3d, t5 equals to a plus 4d. Just like I've got it from this place. Then I can say on and on that is cutting from a plus n minus 1 bracket d. So this is the beautiful knowledge of arithmetic progression that one needs to know. And having this foundational knowledge make you to thrive through any question that is likely to come up in AP. No, so that for instance, imagine that you are giving a question of this form, say you are giving that assuming 8x, y, z is an arithmetic progression. And I have to look for x, y, and z. I'm not writing my head because I know here's my t1, I know here's my t2, and here's my t3, and here's my t4, and here's my t5. So I will say that my t1, which is actually equals to 8, which is my first term, is equals to 8. And my what? And my let me just say my t5, which equals to a plus 4d, is equals to 20. But my t1, my a is 8, a is 8. So I will say that since a plus 4d is 20, and a is 8, and a is 8 plus 4d equals to 20, then I will say 4d equals to 20 minus 8, then 4d equals to 12, then divide those by 4, d will equals to 12 over 4, and that's equals to what? 3. Did you get that? Now, the moment d is 3, and I know that my a is what? A is 8, then this is my t2. My t2 is x, but my t2 is a plus d. A plus d. My a is 8, my d is 3, and that's 11. My t3 is y, which is a plus what? A plus 2d. A plus 2d, which equals to 8 plus 2 times 3, and that is 8 plus 6, and that is 14. Then lastly, my t4 is what? Z, which equals to a plus 3d, and that is 8 plus 3 times 3, which equals to 8 plus 9, and that is 17. So my complete term is now equals to 8, 11, 14, 17, 20. Check it out through my AP. Alright. So how do I know? It's because I understand this basis I have just read it through. So having this basis make you have a very solid foundation in AP. So in our next class, I'm going to be looking at geometric progression and other components that makes one a good student of a geometric progression. So see you in the next class. Do not forget to subscribe and also to turn on your notification bell in case we post